From the heaviest stone ever quarried by humans to a bizarre-looking castle made by a mysterious recluse said to have supernatural abilities. These are mysterious ancient structures that may be from a parallel universe. The Baalbek Stones in Lebanon are some of the most mysterious and massive stones you'll ever come across. Researchers still don't know how they were moved from where they were quarried to their final locations. There are 6 major stones here, and the biggest one, known as the Forgotten Stone, weighs about 1,650 tons. To put that in perspective, that is the heaviest stone ever quarried by humans that we know of, anyway. The other stones aren't much smaller, with some weighing around 1,000 and 1,242 tons. The smaller 3 stones form part of an old Roman temple. They're still pretty massive though, weighing around 750 to 800 tons each. One of the most famous stones here is the Stone of the Pregnant Woman. It's not the biggest, but it's in great condition and sits at an odd angle in the quarry. The legends around it are wild. Some say it's linked to jinn, others believe it has some connection to fertility, but nobody knows for sure. The real question is, how did people move these massive stones with the tools they had at the time? Architects and engineers say we don't have any current technology that can lift and move these stones. They're way beyond what our modern construction methods can handle, and yet somehow there they are. What you're looking at here is not the set of an 80s fantasy movie. This is Coral Castle in Florida. It is, without a doubt, one of the most bizarre places in the country, and the story behind it is really strange too. It was built by a guy named Edward Leedskalnin, a Latvian immigrant who is known for being a bit of an eccentric recluse. He spent over 28 years building this place all by himself, carving massive stone walls, furniture, and sculptures out of oolite limestone. Some of these stones weigh up to 30 tons, yet he managed to move them and place them apparently without any help. Barely anyone ever saw him work, and he kept everything about the building process a secret. What makes Coral Castle even weirder is Leedskalnin's strange beliefs. He was obsessed with magnets and thought that they had healing powers. Some people even claim he used reverse magnetism or some sort of supernatural powers to move the stones. Others say he was just a huckster who used pulleys, but when you look at the scale of the work, it's hard to believe any of that could fully explain how he pulled this off. One of the only people who saw him work said he saw Leedskalnin controlling the stones, making them float in the air. What's even crazier is that he actually moved the entire castle from Florida City to its current spot in Homestead in 1936, all by himself. In the end, nobody knows exactly how he built this place, and it does leave you wondering if there could be something more to it than we can explain. Puma Punku, high in the Andes Mountains of Bolivia, is part of the Tiwanaku culture and dates back to somewhere around 536 to 600 CE. Some researchers even think it could be way older. What's wild about Puma Punku is the size of the stones. Some of them weigh as much as 131 tons, and these stones were somehow transported from over 50 miles away, which in itself seems impossible, especially since the site sits so high in the mountains. The area is above the tree line, so there were no trees around to roll the stones on logs like other ancient cultures did. So how exactly did they move all these massive blocks? The mystery doesn't even stop there. There are carvings on the stones that are so precise and detailed. It's hard to believe that they weren't etched in with advanced electric tools, but of course they weren't. It really makes you wonder if there was some kind of technology or techniques they could have been using that we just don't know about though. Next are the Longyou Caves in China, 24 human-made caverns carved into sandstone, and no one knows when or why they were built. These caves were mentioned in a 17th century poem, but there's nothing to confirm exactly when they were created. Some clay pots found inside were dated between 206 BCE and 23 CE, which gives us a rough time frame, but that's about it. What's even wilder is how they were discovered. In 1992, 4 farmers had been draining some ponds in their village, expecting to find nothing but mud. Instead, they uncovered these huge caverns. After more digging, they found 19 other caves nearby. The caves could be over 2,000 years old, but constructing them with the tools available at the time would have been an enormous feat, requiring around 1,000 skilled workers working 24/7 for years. And on top of all this, no one can figure out where all the rubble went. Over 1 million cubic meters of stone would have been removed, but there's no trace of it anywhere. Asuka, a village in Japan, is home to some incredibly mysterious and ancient monuments dating back to the Kofun period around 250 to 552 CE. The area houses about 20 stone structures, and no one really knows who built them or why. A perfect example is the Masuda no Enfune, or the rock ship of Masuda. The thing is massive. It's 36 feet long, 26 feet wide, and 16.5 feet tall, weighing in at about 800 tons. It sits on top of a hill, and when you look at it, really doesn't fit in with anything else around it. While most of the other monuments in Asuka are more in line with Buddhist style, this one stands out as looking almost alien. It doesn't look like anything from ancient Japan, and no one knows for sure what the purpose of this strange stone structure really was. The Rudston Monolith is the tallest standing stone in all of Britain, sitting at 25 feet high in the graveyard of a church in the village of Rudston. It's thought to have been erected around 1600 BCE, but its exact origins are still a mystery. Some believe the monolith could have been the reason the village got its name, rather than the other way around. There have always been legends about the stone, though. One tale goes that the devil himself threw it as a spear during an attack on the church, but his aim was off, and it ended up stuck in the graveyard. As for archaeology, a man named Sir William Strickland did some digging around the site in the 1700s and found that the monolith might actually be twice as tall as it appears, with half of it buried underground. He also dug up a bunch of skulls, meaning the site may have been used for human sacrifice, but despite all of this, no one really knows for sure why the monolith is there or what it was used for. The Ica Stones are a collection of carved volcanic rocks found in the Ica province of Peru. They range in size from small palm-sized pieces to huge boulders over a foot across. What's strange about them is the carvings, though. You have your typical ancient depictions of animals and human figures and ceremonial headdresses, stuff like that, but then you have stones that seem to show scenes of an ancient civilization with incredibly advanced technology. They're images of what looks like medical procedures, heart and brain surgeries, C-sections, organ transplants. Then there are carvings that seem to show these ancient people had knowledge of astronomy, with people looking through telescopes, images of flying machines and spaceships, and you also have a lot of dinosaurs, but people interacting with dinosaurs. It's pretty cool. The big question is, how could a civilization that could have had advanced technology like this have existed so long ago, and why is there no evidence of these people? No ruins or artifacts other than these stones. Are these stones genuine artifacts from a lost society, or are they just a clever hoax? In 1998, developers in South Beach, Miami made a strange discovery while preparing to build new condos. As they dug into the ground, they found a circle of 24 large holes, each filled with heavy limestone tablets. They called in archaeologists to investigate, and what they uncovered was a perfectly formed stone circle about 38 feet in diameter. Along with the stones, they found animal bones, shark teeth, and old basalt axe heads. After studying the site, they estimated that the Miami Circle was about 2,000 years old, and that it was created by the Tequesta people, a nomadic tribe that lived in the area before European settlers arrived. What's strange is that there's no clear explanation for what the circle was used for, or even much solid info about the Tequesta themselves. The Golan Structure is a mysterious site located in the Golan Heights, northern Israel. It's a large, ancient stone monument, but no one really knows what it was for. The site had these basalt stones arranged in a series of circular patterns, and it's believed to be about 3,000 years old. The main circle of stones is around 150 feet across, surrounded by smaller circles and enclosures. The precision in the arrangement of the stones has led some researchers to think it might have been used for rituals or even as an ancient observatory. But we have no definitive explanation, and there's no clear answer as to who built it either. Some think it might have been constructed by the ancient Canaanites, but there's still some debate on that. And finally, we have the Saqqara black boxes in Egypt. These coffin-shaped boxes, discovered near the Pyramid of Djoser, are made from solid Aswan granite, which is ridiculously tough. Each one weighs over 100 tons, and even just the lids themselves are around 30 tons. Somehow, though, these things were perfectly cut and assembled. Even with modern technology, making something like these would be an incredible challenge. Yet they were crafted thousands of years ago, and no one really knows what the purpose of these these boxes was. The black boxes are just one of the things on the very long list of mysterious constructions made by the ancient Egyptians that some people think may have been built with help from advanced beings. With all that said, I've been your host, James, and I'll catch you, yes, you specifically, in the next video.